This really is a red letter day for us here on this particular development. My name is Buzz Coble, president of the Coble & Company. And I think the exciting thing for me, those of us that were born and raised in Denver, have watched what this storied site has done for Denver for many, many, many years. And the evolution has been quite something. What has emanated out of this site has been phenomenal. And now you watch what's happening out at Anschutz and Fitzsimmons. It all started here. The fun thing for us is we have the opportunity and the honor of working with Continuum to participate in a very significant next chapter in what's going to happen on this particular site. And I guess it would be safe to say, Mayor, this has been quite a saga on this site for a while. But the good news is it's now moving forward. And the other reason we're excited about being here is the whole affordable housing arena. We have watched, Coble & Company has been around for 64 years in the community development business, and we have watched particularly over the last 10, 15 years how the affordable housing issue has really exacerbated around the country and also in Denver. And I think we also all know that affordable housing is the foundation of stable families and a chance to take advantage of the opportunities in this state and the country. And that's why affordable housing has become a significant mission-driven platform for Coble & Company, where this one will now be our 6th affordable low-income housing tax credit, both senior and workforce. But workforce is certainly a key, and this is our 6th one, over 400 units in the last 5 years. And we take great pride in a company that does a diversity of things to also be able to give back to the community on something as important as the affordable side. The other thing that is equally as exciting and rewarding to me is I now get a chance to introduce my son, Carl, who's the 3rd generation of Coble & Company, as I mentioned, that's been around for 64 years. And we're also continuing our company legacy. And so with that, I'll introduce Carl, who's a vice president at Coble & Company.
Thanks, Dad. There are a huge list of folks that we need to thank. I'll never be able to thank all of them, but I'll run through some of our key partners real quick because we were approached by Continuum in November, I think, of 2014 and scrambled, put together a proposal. They selected us as the team and got credits just a couple months later. So this has been a whirlwind project for us. We're really excited about it. Want to thank Olivia Ochoa and Alice Carr of Chase Bank for our construction lending, Aaron Krasnow, Ross Kaufman, and Lauren Dwyer of RBC for the tax credits, Jim DiPaolo and Deborah Gray at DHA as a special limited partner and for the project-based vouchers, Paul Washington, Rick Padilla, Lois Kolker, and Doug Selby of OED for all of their help with the Ralph and Skyline loans. Chris White, Steve Johnson, Mike Pacheco, Tasha Weaver, and the entire Chaffet team for the credits, with a special shout out to Joycelyn Gardner and Ann Metzger for their help also underwriting the Ralph loan. Wayne McClary, Alyssa Wilson of the Colorado Department of Housing, and Boston Capital as well for the bonds. On the design team, we've got Davis Partnership, with special thanks to Guadalupe Cantu, Joe Lear, Britt Probst. Our construction team is Scott Coors and the entire Taylor Coors group, and our property managers are Alfonso Silva and the Silva Market team. I also want to thank again Frank Cannon and Mark Falcone at Continuum, and then with special thanks to George Thorne, who couldn't be here. He had surgery. It's successful, and he wishes everybody well. He promised he'd never miss it. They told me, though, that they wouldn't allow him to be wheeled here on his hospital bed. So unfortunately, if they'd allowed that, he would have been here. Also want to thank John Huggins and then Eric Husted, Tom White, and Luke Cannon has done yeoman's work getting this thing ready to go. Just a quick rundown on Ash Street. Ash Street is 112 units of workforce housing. We'll have 93 parking stalls. It's going to be 5 stories tall, and the amenities will include a community room with a computer lab, a fitness room, a large community deck, and we're going to have full-time staff on site. So this is an extraordinarily exciting project for us. It's the largest tax credit project that we have done almost by a factor of 2, and really excited that we can play an important role of this major redevelopment here at 9th and Colorado. Now, with that, I listed a lot of city names, and great leadership is necessary to collect all those people, make this all work, and I get the pleasure of introducing somebody that in the affordable housing in Denver needs no introduction because of his great leadership and great work. So my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Michael Hancock.
Thank you, Carl, and let me thank all of you. To Buzz, to you and your team and your commitment, all of us owe you a great deal of gratitude. I think this is the 3rd groundbreaking or opening that you have done that I've been a part of, and it's always a pleasure to be with you. To Carl, I just want to make this one little side note. It's hard to watch Carl and not think I want to see him 30 years from now, and he'll be like all of us who stand here and we'll go, remember when he had hair, when he was young. And now he's got 45 projects on his belt, and he passed it on to his son, and it's just exciting to see this torch passing transition that's going on in our city, and it's fun to, not just to Cobles, but other families, and seeing this happen. But the commitment and the values are the same, and so let me do a couple things. Carl mentioned all the folks he wants to thank, and obviously I can't stand up here without acknowledging the shoulders of the people who work every day, who try to put together the vision that we have, weave together the vision and the tapestry that we have laid out for the city around the issue of affordable housing. And I want to certainly acknowledge Paul Washington, our Executive Director of the Office of Economic Development, and Rick Padilla, our Director of Housing Division, both of you for your leadership and your efforts on making this happen. It seems like I'm doing this every week where I'm showing up at a groundbreaking, and that's okay for affordable housing, because this is what we've said. We have made our line in the sand, and we said this is where we're going to focus our priorities. I want to thank you and the state again for all your partnerships, certainly Chris and Chaffa. Thanks again, and Phil Workman from Dura. The city of Denver has about $1.7 million of our revolving loan fund dollars and our federal resources in this project. And we'll continue to partner with partners like Coble and others who are committed to affordable housing, and not just building affordable housing, but building, as Chris laid out in terms, as Carl laid out in terms of the amenities here, a decent, affordable, safe, affordable housing, and in places where people can truly call home and have all the amenities necessary to make people comfortable to enjoy themselves. One of the other things that we look at here with this project, and Paul makes a point to make sure we understand this every time we do this. This is not just an affordable housing project where we have, or development where we have 112 units, but you're talking about a third of them that will be 2 or 3 bedrooms. And so we're talking about homes for families and young people having stability and a safe, comfortable roof over their heads. So that's the power of where we are and the power of the opportunity that's being presented here. To all the partners who are here today, thank you so much. We are well on our way to our commitment we made 3 years ago, the 3x5 commitment, 3,000 units in 5 years, because of partnerships like the one we have here with Coble. And this is a wonderful, wonderful part of the city, right in the center of the city, and people will be able to get anywhere they want to get or need to go from this part of the city. So I want to congratulate everyone who is involved, and now it's my pressure and pleasure to introduce my friend who represents this area on Denver City Council. She's an absolute superstar, and we'll show up whenever she wants us to show up to be a part of what she's doing in her community. But Councilwoman and Mary Beth Sussman, congratulations. Come on up here and say a few words. Will you all join me in welcoming her? You got down.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mayor, for making affordable housing one of his key projects for this city. It's something we need probably more desperately than anything. And I am so excited to be having this kind of project in my neighborhood. And I couldn't go ahead without thanking the neighborhood itself, who engaged in the conversations, helped with even, I think, some of the design, welcomed the project to the neighborhood. We have the neighborhood president here, Lori Bogue of Bellevue Hale, who have been so active in the whole Colorado Boulevard Health District project. Marvia, who is here, was with this Boulevard District Committee since 1975, about when this building was built. And they have just been so dedicated to making sure that the project is worthwhile, is something that the neighborhood wants. You know, it takes a village to make a village, and that is what we are creating here with the help of Frank Cannon and his whole Continuum group. We couldn't be more excited about this particular project, and we're so happy to have it. We can have mixed income right in our neighborhood, and that's declining, as you know. It's becoming less and less affordable, but we're very happy to have it here. We have it at Lowry, and we hope to be able to do it as much as possible. And one of the people who make that possible, who I get the opportunity to introduce, is Chris White of Chaffa, and thank you very much for all that you have done for us. Like, where is Chris? There he is, okay. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It's nice to see so many of you here, and I appreciate the invitation today. I really do enjoy being here. I have a fantastic job. The opportunity to work at the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority is incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly challenging. I feel like we do good work, and we have a very important purpose. But by far, the best thing that I do, the most rewarding thing that I do, is to get to come to things like this and speak at things like this, at groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings and that sort of thing. I have a lot of help in what I get to do, and Carl, thank you very much for acknowledging so many of the people on the Chaffa team. But I also get a lot of help in running Chaffa, and I'd like to acknowledge a couple of people. One is Irv Halter, who's been mentioned a little bit earlier here, who serves on the Chaffa board and runs the Department of Local Affairs for the governor. And also Paul Washington, who's on the Chaffa board, who runs the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Thank you both, and thank you both for being here today. You know, affordable housing is a very important component of what we do, of course, and I think we all know the extent to which affordable housing is lacking, not just in Denver, but in the entire state of Colorado. The demand for the resources to finance affordable housing far outstrips the supply, very similar to how the demand for units that are affordable to people along the entire affordability spectrum, that demand far outstrips the supply. So being able to be a part of things like this today are very important. A very important element of what makes things like this happen in the city of Denver is something that I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge, and that's particular attention to Mayor Hancock. Mayor Hancock, thank you so much for your commitment to affordable housing and having the will to fight for it, to generate resources, to identify partnerships to get those things done. It results in things like this. So Mayor Hancock, thank you very much for everything you do. Most importantly, I want to thank Buzz and Carl and George, who couldn't be here today, obviously, but to thank you as well. When I sit here, I've had the honor of speaking at a few of your either groundbreakings or ribbon cutting ceremonies, and I'm particularly struck each time I get to do that in that firms like Buzz's haven't always been involved in the development of affordable housing. But they are now, and they do it really well. And they wouldn't be doing it if financing affordable housing weren't a good business proposition as well. And I think we always need to keep that in mind. So let me conclude by, again, thanking everybody who's been involved, all the various funders, all of you here today to make this happen. But special thanks to Buzz and Carl and George for everything you do. And we very much look forward to the ribbon cutting ceremony a little bit down the road. So thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Phil Kaplan, Board Chair of the Denver Urban Renewal Authority.
Thank you very much for inviting me here to represent Dura. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Sussman, Rick and Paul from OED, Chris from CHAFA. You know, Dura partners with agencies like OED, with CHAFA, to help revitalize neighborhoods and communities. We step up when asked to continue the important work of redeveloping neighborhoods like this, and at the same time continue the development of the much-needed affordable housing and workforce housing that's shown by your leadership, Mr. Mayor. So thank you very much. We operate under the radar a little bit. Not only do we help provide financing for development and real estate, but also the important things like infrastructure, other public amenities like public art, and other things important to communities. Also little known is we also help fund DPS. When projects like this, either the 9th and Colorado project or this, that may impact schools, we help provide funding to schools as well. In addition to helping incentivize and finance affordable and workforce housing. So we partner a lot with various agencies and try to really step up when asked. Projects like this are really just a shining example of when we all partner together from a public and private perspective. So companies like the Cobbles, thank you, Buzz, thank you, Carl, and particularly George, who I've known for a long time, who I'm sorry couldn't be here today. But it's a shining example of what we can do when we all work together. So thank you again to the mayor, to OED, Paul and Rick, the Cobbles, CHAFA. It's a pleasure to be here representing Dura, so thank you very much.
If you think about it, think about the number of names that were mentioned today about people that helped out on this. And so when there's this many, there are a few that we may have overlooked. So I'm going to take the opportunity of thanking Dan and Adam Morgan, who assisted all of our efforts on the financing. And I do see Bill James sitting over here, who helped us out with the appraisal and the value orientation for this. And Chris, I'll also tell you that in keeping with your comments, I must let everybody know that 4:30 in the afternoon, July 15th, we do have the ribbon cutting for our garden court project on Yale Circle, which is the second one that we've done there. So there will be a ribbon cutting, but a couple of weeks after this groundbreaking. So again, thank you all for being here. This is an honor to participate in this kind of project and further the good things going on in this great community. So thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to show up. Thank you.